Today on Great Places Seen, we climb over rocks, squeeze through tight places, and arrive at an impressive remote canyon in a state park you've probably not heard of. It will take over 6 hours to drive from eastern central Ohio to the small remote town of Breaks, Virginia, home to what has been called the Grand Canyon of the South, Breaks Interstate Park. The driving route is almost all a straight line south on Interstate 77, on U.S. Route 119, bisecting the length of West Virginia, and it continues into Kentucky and finally east just over the Virginia state line. Hey, it's another nuCamp Tab 400 leaving the nuCamp rally. It's a good look at how we appear on the road. Exit for Wheeling. Nope. Exit for Columbus. Nope. South to Marietta. Yes. This West Virginia rest stop is a bit unusual to drive in and out of, but it's a welcome break. Plus it has a free dump station. When was the last time you saw a public payphone? Yeah, there's a dial tone. After using the dump station, there's the exit for Ripley, believe it or not. Here's the exit for 119 South, more than 100 miles of smooth, 4-lane divided highway. The route slices through hill after hill, small mountain after mountain. If any state knows how to cut through rock, it's West Virginia. I joked about having some fried chicken as Kentucky approached, and look, it's a KFC right over the state line. Who knew Canada is so close to Kentucky? Now there's the original metaverse. Here's where the drive becomes a little uncertain. I like the RV trip routing program I use, but it's plotting a very roundabout way to get to the park. At Belcher, Kentucky, I can go a more direct route, but on a narrow, steep road. It's okay since we're small and light, but there's a new highway being built and I see pavement on satellite map images, but I don't know if it's actually open. Well, there's obvious construction, but yes! And the sign says Future 460. Well, the future is now. Here is likely your first look at a nearly pristine new highway, a welcome smooth uphill grade in a very remote area. It's so new, it's not even on the map. We're just going up a mountain. While the road is not yet finished, it's just enough to get very close to the park entrance. Where has our craft landed? There was a major issue setting up, but more on that after breakfast. Even the picnic table reminds this is bear country. Site 17, Loop B. Don't book it. Because of the slope of this site, we couldn't get close to the pedestal or the sewer hookup. We had to go pretty much the length of the hose just to get to a spot where we'd have to level a little bit. Because we can't have a sewer hookup, we'll just dump our tanks tomorrow before we leave. Alright, back to setting up. Despite having the wheels chalked, the trailer shifted on the slope when unhitched. The chains were still on, and I suddenly had a car wedged at an angle I couldn't move. Long story short, 2 hours in waning light to remove the chains, free the car, and get the trailer mostly level. That leaves me with some work ahead to get it all fixed, but it's fortunately something that I can do right here without any help. Fortunately, Site 17 is next to the bathhouse, so that's a convenience. Obviously very tame coming out during the day. It's time to check out some of the trails at Breaks Interstate. All campgrounds have a site number 1. This one has a 0 and 00. Here are the bear-proof canisters. You can tell that the bears are not able to get into these. We're going to start with the grassy Overlook Trail, which is a fairly easy trail according to the website. These are narrow trails through here. Green blazes for this trail. This is the easy trail. But here's the beginning of the payoff. Oh my, what a view. That's beautiful. In the Cumberland Mountains of the Appalachian chain, Breaks Interstate Park straddles the Kentucky and Virginia border, with a campground on the Virginia side. It's unique in that it's administered by a special commission from both states. The name Breaks was derived from the break in Pine Mountain by the Russell Fork of the Big Sandy River, which carved a 1,000-foot or 300 meters deep gorge as it made its way to the Ohio River. It has sometimes been called the Grand Canyon of the South. Dropping down from the grassy Overlook Trail is the Geological Trail. Rocks millions of years old are everywhere in impressive tall formations. At the end of the trail will be the park's iconic Stateline Overlook. You know, that place where all the brochure pictures were taken. The dominant rock is durable sandstone, which forms the spectacular cliffs of the gorge. Gentler slopes are underlain by softer siltstone, shale, and coal seams. Well, at least somebody was kind enough to put in stairs for us at this point. It makes the climbing a little better. There's the railing. The overlook is right above. With that, we made it to the overlook. And we probably did all that elevation and then some going up and down. This view is from the northeastern terminus of Pine Mountain, which extends 125 miles to the southwest. The Breaks is one of only 3 water gaps in this northwesternmost linear ridge of the Appalachians. We can see the future from here. Well, future U.S. Route 460, that is. And even with the haze from Canadian wildfires, wow, these views are amazing. In the past, Native Americans used this gorge and adjacent gaps for passage for over 10,000 years. They didn't settle here because of the rough terrain, but they hunted, foraged, gathered nuts, and trapped fish while moving through. Daniel Boone and his hunting party would pass through in 1767, when he first set foot in Kentucky. Instead of hiking and climbing through those rocks again, there's a paved road leading back to camp. Hey, look at that tidy trash cleanup while we were gone. The resident campsite deer reminds of the elk next to the previous campsite just a day ago. Let's drop down to Elkhorn City, the Kentucky gateway to Breaks Interstate Park. This road was part of the bicentennial coast-to-coast bicycle route. Very close is a scenic stop at Russell Fork in the Kentucky side of the park. Lots of interesting rock formations with full-size trees growing in some unusual places. Very close up the road, an overlook. It didn't seem we gained that much elevation in such a short distance. If anyone knows what kind of a tree this is, you can put it down in the comments below. Typical of the Appalachian Plateau, the river valley is narrow and V-shaped, making it prone to flash floods. That's what I call a meal with a view.
Well, not much of a view from here actually, and it doesn't look like the tables have been used much recently, but you do get some nice sounds of the train going by.
Back at the Virginia side of Breaks Interstate Park, you can take a break in the big pool. Night is approaching. Time to try to see a sunset at the overlooks. The first is Clinchfield, on the way to Stateline Overlook. Those tracks are along the same path as the Clinchfield Railroad from 1915, built to haul coal out of the area. At the time, it was the most expensive American railroad built. that's a long way back up. It doesn't appear there's going to be a fully visible sunset, but the views are still very special. The GoPro is taking one last time lapse as we say goodnight and goodbye to Breaks Interstate Park.